Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Our channel name is MB's College. This is a college where you only need your data bundles or MBs so that you revise for your exams and also improve your skills in IT. So my name is Michael Bibo. You can also it is good you subscribe to our channel and put a comment. You can comment about a topic in ICT or IT which you want us to make a video for, so that it maybe it might be understandable to you. Maybe there's a unit or a topic in a unit that normally it is difficult for you. You can request from the comments there. We create a video for the topic. Also, you can request, if you are in Nairobi, you can request for physical classes. You will contact me through this number. Let me give you my number. Come on. Okay. So you'll get me through 072532785 That is my official phone number. So when you want to we organize for a physical class, which I normally do in town CBD. You just call me. I will give you a location. Location is at Rumwe House, Mfangano Street. So today we are going to revise this paper called Object-Oriented Programming, which was done in November 2021 by Kenya National Examinations Council. This paper is normally done by people who are doing diploma in information communication technology, and it is for module 2, and it is called Object-Oriented Programming, and it is 3 hours 3 hours of programming. Before we start, it is good to let you know that for TVET, that is TVET colleges, you do object-oriented programming using the C++ programming language. For university guys, those who are doing degree, mostly you normally do Java as your object-oriented programming language. So this paper mostly we will be talking about C++. So let us proceed, or let us start. The first question in this paper, number 1, A, Roman 1, says, outline 3 typical steps of writing an object-oriented program. So the question needs steps to be followed when you want to write an object-oriented program. Generally, this is a question that talks about writing just general steps for writing a program, not just for object-oriented, but for any language. So there are some steps that you need to follow. So let me document them here in our PowerPoint. Okay. So we'll say steps when writing a program, and then I'll put the steps here and maybe explain them. 1 is what we normally call problem definition. Sometimes we call it analysis of the problem. Some people call it problem analysis. What is it? This is just where you cannot create a program or a software when you don't know the solution is it is going to bring, or it is going to bring a solution to which problem. So therefore you must do what, be able to define your problem well, so that we know that the program we're going to write is going to solve which problem. Secondly, from after you know the problem, or you have defined the problem well, you do now the design of the solution. So you design the program, or you can say design the solution. Here you can do something called maybe writing pseudocode. You can write the pseudocode. Pseudocode is general English words, or English a code, but that uses normal English word and English language flow, describing how the software or the application should be working. Like for instance, my application will be solving a problem about student logins. So we'll have to create a login table, a login form. How will someone be logging in? Enter username, enter password, then hit the login button. When you hit the login button, there will be back end code that will be handling authenticating the username and the password. So that is creating a pseudocode for your application or program. Then secondly, you now do the development. Develop the program. To develop the program simply means now you write the code, or you do the coding. That is now what we refer to as develop the program. You know, you have designed, now you do the real coding. You choose a language. If it is C++ or Java, you start coding, you start writing codes for maybe the login. Yeah. Then from there you will test. You know, you cannot just develop and deploy or start using. So you must test the program, or test program. So you must test the program. The essence of testing is when you are coding, you might not be very perfect, so there will be some errors. So you'll be doing debugging as you test. You test if the application is meeting the functionalities you have developed it for. So these are the steps you will follow when you are developing your program, or when creating an application or an object-oriented program. Question 1, A Roman 2 says explain 2 advantages of OOP. OOP means object-oriented programming over structured programming. Explain 2 advantages of OOP over structured programming. So we know that object-oriented programming is a programming language that uses objects and classes. Structured programming is a programming language where execution normally happens line by line. So that is maybe a short difference. OOP, C++ is OOP, then C languages, general structured programming. So what are advantages of OOP over structured programming? So we'll document them here. Advantages of OOP over structured programming. One, we can say that OOP uses classes and objects, so this one makes it easy to troubleshoot. OOP uses classes and objects, thus making it easy to troubleshoot. Unlike structured programming, where when the program happens to have a problem, you'll have to go line by line. But if you're a good person understanding OOP, you'll find that codes are structured in form of classes. So if there is a problem in the code, then you only go to the class that handles a specific functionality. That is what that point means. Then object-oriented programming provides reuse reuse of code, reuse of code through what we normally call inheritance. If you go through the concept of object-oriented programming, you will realize that there is something called inheritance there, where a class can implement the functionalities of another class. So therefore code, that one enables code reuse through inheritance. Unlike structured programming, normally depends mostly on modularity, where we have functions only. But object-oriented has inheritance, has functions, so functions can be inherited, meaning that there is a lot of reuse of code, so your code does not become so big. That is what it means. Another point is flexibility. This language, or OOP, has flexibility through polymorphism. Yeah, flexibility through polymorphism. Polymorphism is a state where you can have multiple functions, but with the same name, but they're doing different tasks. That one can never happen in structured programming or in C language. In object-oriented, you can have a function called calculate, and then that function you can give it you can give that function a task of calculating area, another function of calculating volume, another function of calculating surface area, with the same name. But for structured programming C language, you cannot give that function multiple tasks, or you cannot redefine the function many times with the same name. But in OOP, polymorphism enables us to do that, so that is an advantage. Then another advantage of OOP is that it creates secure applications. OOP creates secure applications by use of encapsulation and what? And abstraction. These are key aspects of object-oriented programming, where it normally hides the implementation from the implementation part of the program from normal user. The only person who can understand it better is the person who has programmed it. So the application is very secure, it cannot be hacked. So that is what that point means. Okay, let us proceed. So I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4 advantages. So they needed 2, so I've given you 4. Question 1b. Distinguish between implicit and explicit typecasting as used in C++ programs, giving an example in each case. Distinguish between implicit and explicit typecasting, giving an example in each case. First of all, it is not easy for you to answer this question if you don't have good understanding of what typecasting is in object-oriented programming, and then the two types of typecasting, implicit and explicit. What are they? And then that is now when you will differentiate them and then provide an example. So I will not answer the question straightforwardly. I will first start by defining what or enabling you to understand what is typecasting and why does it happen. So I will use our PowerPoint here and call this one typecasting. I think I should be numbering, because some of you will be requesting me for these questions, for these answers in PDF form. So this one was 1A Roman 1, yeah, and this one is 1A Roman 2, if I'm not wrong. Now we are going to 1B. So 1B, let me do that way. So 1B talks about typecasting. 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 Now, what is it? Typecasting comes from the knowledge of variables and their data types. There are different data types in any programming language. These data types include, let me say, int for integer, character for character, you have string, you have float, there's double. So those are some of the common data types that you know in any programming. Sometimes there is need to change from or change or convert a certain data from one data type to another. So that changing of a value from one data type to another data type, maybe from integer to character or from string back to integer, it is called typecasting. For those who are doing Visual Basic programming, there are special functions for for changing strings to any other data type, and I saw that question in the paper done in November 2022. November 2022 Visual Basic Programming. They asked about they needed students to give functions that convert strings back to the different, to boolean, to integer, to character data types. But here now in C++ we call it typecasting. So I will proceed to tell you that typecasting typecasting refers to the conversion of one data type to another in a program. Of one data type to another in a program. Let me say maybe you're converting from integer to string. So typecasting, it is also called type conversion. So today you might meet that word typecasting, tomorrow type conversion. Type conversion, it can be done in two ways. It can be done in two ways. One of the ways is automatically by the compiler. So you know what a compiler is. So it can be done let me use small a. It can be done automatically by the compiler, and this is now what we refer to as what implicit typecasting. Implicit typecasting. Then it can be done manually by the programmer. It can be done manually by the programmer, the programmer, and this is now we call explicit typecasting. So there is a conversion from one data type to another one that can be done automatically by the compiler. That is implicit typecasting. Then there is one which you can do manually by the time you are programming, and that one is called explicit typecasting. So maybe since it is something that might seem new to you, let me just proceed by saying that by talking about implicit, and since they need examples, so implicit typecasting. So and then give you some more insights about this one. It is done, or it is a type of conversion. It is a type of data type conversion, not a type of data type, but a type of data type. Conversion usually done automatically by what? By the compiler. Usually done automatically by the compiler. What did I type? It is the type of okay, it is a type of conversion usually done automatically by the compiler. That is implicit typecasting. Maybe example, they needed even an example there. So you can have let's say you will not write a whole code, just a snip of a code. I may have int num being assigned 5, and then I have float x. Those are two variables. I have float x. Then I want to change x to become an integer, so I will say x is equals to float num. So this one makes, you know, num was an integer, so now if x was declared as float, then x will become maintaining to be float, but now it takes the number, the num variable, which was initially declared as int. So therefore here num, which was declared as int, is being converted to float. So when you see out x, then if that is the end of the code, then your output will give you 5.0, since now num has been which was int of type integer has been converted to float, so it becomes 5.0. That is being done automatically by the compiler. That is implicit type conversion. Then next is explicit type conversion. Explicit type conversion. Okay, explicit type conversion. So this is a type. It is a type of data type conversion, usually done manually by the programmer. It is usually done manually by the programmer. So example in code is this way. If I will have the int num, then I say that my num or number is equals to int 4.534. So here I have an integer number, then my number is going to be an integer 4.5. So you see this one, 4.5 is not a straight integer, it is a float number since it is a decimal number, but now we want it to be outputted or to be taken by the computer as a strong integer or a pure integer, not a float number. So when you do that and then we see out, when you see out num, then if that is the end of the code, now your output that we expect is going to be a number 4. So it brings 4 as an integer, not a float, since 4.534 is a float data type. or is a value of type float. So that is the programming language. I think we have explained the two implicit and explicit type conversion or typecasting well for you. Okay. We need to go proceed to question 1C, which says explain the circumstance under which the following data types are most applicable in OOP data types. These data types are struct and class. So when are they most applicable? Before we answer the question which says the circumstance under which they are used, you will need to understand what struct is and what class is. So we will start with struct. That is question 1C, yeah? So 1C, right? Struct and the class. So what is a struct? So I'll just deal with the struct from here. So struct, first of all, it is a user defined. Both of them are user defined data type. So it is a user defined data type in OOP or in even in C. Then what is it exactly? It is a storage of multiple data elements. It is a storage of multiple data elements of different data types under one name. So unlike an array, which normally stores many data elements but strictly of the same data type, struct can store many elements but of different data types. Maybe to give you the syntax of creating a struct is you'll have a keyword struct. Struct is also normally called structure. Then the struct name, you'll have the struct name. Then the struct normally have a body. It normally has a body, and the body, will put a comment here. The body normally have the struct members or elements. Then the end of the body of the end of the body of the struct. And an example, let me have an example here, an example of struct. Now an example in code, but not a full code, just as part of the struct. You can have a struct named person, and then I will have the body, the beginning of the body, and then I can say I can have a data type character name. This is how I can define string. The names should have not more than 30 characters. That is a data type of type string, so you say how many characters will be there. Then int age, and then finally maybe I can have a character citizenship. So the citizenship can also have 30 characters. Yeah, and then we end the body of the struct. So therefore we realize that we have struct, then the struct name person becomes the struct name. We have the beginning and end of the body of the struct. Then it contains data, name, age, and citizenship of different data types: character, integer, and character. So therefore, that one becomes a struct. So it is a storage of multiple elements. So this one becomes elements. Name, age, and citizenship become elements in the struct, but they have different data types. Now, if we now answer the question here, answer to the question said a circumstance under which you use struct. So how will you frame your answer? You can say when you need to store multiple data elements of different data types. Secondly, you can also say that maybe you may need to read hard to understand this one. Sometimes we need to push into a function or send an argument or a parameter into a function as a whole record. First, someone's name, first name, second name, age, salary. So all this information need to be sent to the function as a whole record. So you may need to use a struct. So you, when you need to, we normally refer to that one as in relation to functions. We say pass values. When you want to pass a whole record to the function. When you want to pass the whole record to the function. So if you want to understand this, then read about structs and functions. So that is a circumstance under which, when you use what, there is data type called struct. You get it? Okay, the next one is the class. So under which circumstance do we use a class? But what is a class? First of all, a class in OOP. What is a class in OOP? So a class, actually you need to know that first of all it is a user. It is a user defined data type, just as struct data type, just as struct. But it is it is a collection of what we normally refer to as data members and member functions Some people could say that a class is a collection of objects. Now, data members are just variables declared inside a class, while member functions are functions declared, sometimes we call defined, inside a class, functions, declared. So a class normally has its syntax. So syntax for creating a class, we normally start with the keyword class, then followed by the class name. Let me do this one from another slide. So I will do this and say syntax for creating a class. Syntax for creating a class and then do this for you. So class name. A class has a body, and then it has something called access specifier, which can be public or private. Access specifier usually followed by a full colon. So I'll just put here is a comment, like the access specifier can be public, can be private, or can be protected. So you use any depending on the circumstance. So these access specifiers, after the access specifiers we have the data members, some data members which I've said they are just variables declared inside this class, and then we have the member functions, which are just functions or methods, defined or declared in this class. Then a class ends, we end the body, but a class normally ends with a semicolon, unlike the structure which does not end with a semicolon on its body. A class must end with a semicolon. That is it. Maybe if you need an example, let me give you an example of a class in OOP. Example of class in OOP, or example of how a class has been defined. So you can have a class lecturer. This class has starts with the body, so it has a public, or let me say private. It has some private members, so it'll have a full column. These private members are maybe the int lecturer ID, one word, so lecturer ID, and maybe string lecturer name. So those are the two data types, and then maybe one function. Let me say void get info as a function whose work is going to ask somebody to see out enter name and ID of the lecturer. Okay, of the lecturer, end line. So let me not give it a lot of tasks, so maybe let it just store sin lec ID, and also sin lec name. So that is storing in variables, and then I mark the end of the function. This one is the end of the function, but now I need to mark the end of what? The end of the class. The class ends with a semicolon, so never forget to have a semicolon there to mark the end of your class. But now let us answer the question: circumstance under which when you need to use a class. So you need to answer the question here: when to use class. So when do you use the class? When you need to group objects with similar methods or functions. So when you need to group objects with similar methods or functions, then you can choose to use a class. Okay, I think now that one has been understood well. Now 1D. So 1D says, this is question 1D. Question 1D says, write an object-oriented program in C++ that would accept the dimensions of a right-angled triangle, determine and output its perimeter. Use appropriate data members and one member function. So dear students, here, one, you need to be able to understand the dimensions of a right angled triangle. So you see they have not given you. So what are the dimensions of a right angled triangle? You have the base, height and hypotenuse. Then you need to know that the perimeter is the total of the total distance around that triangle. Then you've been reminded that use appropriate data members and function member. They have just hidden you that you are supposed to create a class. So you'll have to create a class and give it data members and member function where appropriate. So let us begin. So we are going to code. So we'll code using Falcon C++. We'll code using Falcon C++. So I'll do file, then a new C++ file. So we're going to start our program. #include IOStream. #include IOStream using namespace std, using namespace standard. Then from there we create our class. So we'll call our class triangle. So our class is called triangle. Class has a body, and inside the body we need to provide an access specifier, just as I had explained here, that there is an access specifier when you're talking about the syntax of a class. So access specifier. So our access specifier here will use public. In front of an access specifier is a full colon. Then my data member. So I will have my data member being of integer type. So B for base, small h for height, and capital H for hypotenuse. Then I end with a colon. Those are my variables there. Then they are the data members. So you've been told use appropriate data members. So meaning that when you see these and these and member function, then it means that you have to create a class. So I've created a class. These are my data members, the variables declared inside the class. I'll proceed to create a function or a member function. So maybe of type int also. So int float. If you don't know how to create functions, you read on syntax of creating a function. So int float. My function will have a function name called perimeter. So perimeter will be my function name. So the two brackets indicate that this is a function. Remember, a function has its body, so I introduce its body there. So what is the function going to be doing? The function is going to be displaying or prompt a user to enter the base, or the value of the base, or say enter the base of the triangle. Enter the base of the triangle. Okay. End line means after you enter, do this in a new line. So store what the user will enter, sin as B for base. Then from there again, C out, enter the height, let me shorten the word of the triangle, end the line again. Then sin is to store, so sin C input, so sin h remember, small h and capital H are two different things in C++. It is C++ is case sensitive. C out, enter hypotenuse, enter the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse, you don't know if that is spelling. Enter the hypotenuse, end line. Then sin the capital H. Okay, then calculate the perimeter. So you can calculate the perimeter as we display it. So you can say C out, then display that display to the user that the perimeter of the triangle, is a full colon, provide a space, then finish up by providing now the base plus height plus the capital H, which is hypotenuse. So that is the work this function is going to do. You can now remember the definition of a function, that is a collection of code or a set of code that perform a certain task in a program. So the whole of this one is a program. So I'll get outside this is the end of the function, and then this is the end of the class. And remember, from our syntax of creating a class, it ends with a semicolon. So you'll have to end here with a semicolon. Then I will now proceed to the main. Main forms where the execution begins. So int main. Main also has a function and return value. So it is not mandatory you have these parameters. So you can even remove them if you want. So main. In the main, what I will do is, when I want this function to start working, or to be, so it must be called before it starts working. So but to call it, since it is a function that belongs to the class triangle, I will have to create an object for the class triangle. So how do I create an object? I can create triangle T. So T becomes the object for the class triangle. Then I use the object T dot the function name. So dot parameter or dot perimeter. So this one means I am now, let me put a comment here, I am calling a function so that it can start working or start being executed. This one I am creating an object. I'm creating an object T for the class triangle. Okay. So I think that is the end. We can test our program before we document it. So just say this, then let it run. Okay, we are waiting. So it says there is an error, 2 or more data types in declaration of perimeter. I think, I have 2 data types here. So I'll say int perimeter, not int float. Okay, I've seen that error. Okay, now enter the base of the triangle. Let me say 6. Enter the height. Let me say 7. Then enter the hypotenuse. Let me say 8. Then I'm told that the perimeter of the triangle is 21. Let us see if it is working. It is okay. 8 plus 7 is 16. 16 plus 6 is 21. Is it true? 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 plus 6, 21. So the program is working well. So this is the program that knec needed. How many marks? 6 marks. So 6 marks. So that is question 1D. Question 1D, 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 1D. Let me document it here very fast. Question 1D. Okay, and then what I will do is put the code here for you. So if you will, I know most of you will be calling me to request for the whole document once. uh, I will be creating this document in PDF form, so I'll be converting it into PDF form, so you can just call me through the number that I gave you here, through 0725327856, or you can send me an email to buibo michael7@gmail.com. If you send me an email there requesting for the book, for all the answers for these the whole of this paper, I will drop it to you, of course not freely, for just some small cash we will negotiate. So let me copy this one and then put it here. Okay, oh, it looks so small. Let me increase the size. 18 is not bad. Okay, so some code has gone outside, so what we will do is make it to be 2. Okay, let me make it to be 2 pages or 2 slides. I'll cut this section. Let me do this. Let me take the first half up to the end of the function. Copy this section and do like that one. Now it is now visible. Let me see if I can increase the size from 15 to okay, let it remain that way. Then but I know you can see the code from here. If I can is it Control plus? Yeah, Control plus, so you can see the code there. Then I copied up to the end of the function, so you can copy from the end of the class. I can copy from the end of the class, copy, and put it in a new slide to make it readable for you. Okay, yeah, so the code starts from here and ends here. Okay, that was 1D. Okay, now we can proceed to question 2. We proceed to question 2. 2A, Roman 1, says this: outline 4 properties of unstructured programming languages. So you know we normally have structured programming language, which is C, and then unstructured programming language. So unstructured programming language like C++, so it is object oriented, it is not structured like C. So what are some properties of unstructured programming languages they need for when you need to know much about the difference between structured and unstructured? You will visit our website mbscollege.co.ke. mbscollege.co.ke. Our website is mbscollege.co.ke. That is the name of our website. So when you visit the website, you will learn more about the difference. So for now here, let me just proceed to answer this question, which says properties of unstructured programming languages. Okay, one of the properties is that Unstructured programming languages normally execute in sequential manner. Sequential order, that is one of the properties. Executing in a sequential order means that it executes line by line. Then programs are not divided into small modules or functions. So in structured programming, when you see, you'll see a lot of program being divided into functions, but in unstructured or OOP, programs are divided into classes. Also unstructured programming is less user friendly, and little hard to understand. Actually, here we're talking about the machine assembly, machine language, the one for zeros and ones. It is difficult to learn and follow. It is difficult to learn and follow. It is difficult to learn and follow zeros and ones and structured programming language. Then, but it has an advantage that it executes fast. So that's good for creating speedy applications. Those are applications that you want them to be functioning very fast for users. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give you more. I can add one. Suitable for small easy projects. Suitable for small easy projects, not as OOP, which you can use for creating big big projects or programs. So these are some of the properties of unstructured programming languages. Okay, 2A Roman 2 says, explain the terms state and behavior as used in OOP. Explain the terms state and the behavior as used in OOP. So what is state and what is behavior? So these two terms are normally related to the class objects or the objects of a class. So an object can have a state and an object can have a behavior. So let me explain it here. So this one was 2A Roman 1. Okay, so I proceed to 2A Roman 2. 2A Roman 2, state and behavior of an object or in relation to OOP. Okay. In relation to OOP, so state refers to the data or value associated to an object. That is what state means. State does not mean like waiting, what we normally learn in operating system, where a program is put in the state of wait, queue, run, execute. No. In relation to OOP and the object, state refers to the data being associated to the object. I'll give you an example. Then behavior refers to the operation the operation or task performed by the object or done by the object. Performed, wrong spelling, by the object. So if there is something or an activity done by the object, then it is a behavior. Let me give you an example. Here, let me say I have in relation to example. So in relation to a bank environment or a bank scenario, a customer is an object. Yeah. Then customer details like first name, F name, second name, a account number. So all these things are what? The state. All of them combined become the state of the customer object, or the state of the object named customer. But now because you know customer normally can do something like a deposit money, withdraw, withdraw money. So these activities, so it refers to the behavior of the object customer, or the object called customer. So that is what that is now the best example I can give you, so that we give the difference between state and behavior in relation to OP. Okay, let us proceed. To be distinguished between selector operations and conversion operations as applied in objects in OOP. I think we have talked about conversion under typecasting when we are answering question 1 and 1B, implicit and explicit typecasting, where typecasting simply means type conversion. So here we're being asked to differentiate or distinguish between selector operations and conversion operations as applied in OOP 4 marks. So what is this and how do you answer these? Okay, that is question 2 at question 2B. Question 2B. Okay, I'll just proceed to answer here. Okay, so selector operation is an operation that associates a data structure to a given method, while now conversion operations do convert a value from one data type to another. That is now a conversion, and we have discussed it much in question 1 about type conversion, which is also called typecasting. Selector operation associates a data structure to a given method. Like for instance, maybe when you are calling a function, or a function is a method. So when you are associating maybe a pointer to what? To a function. You see, maybe you're using a pointer, let's say star, ptr being a pointer, so you use the pointer to call dot, maybe a function called calculate. Yeah, So you know a pointer is a structure. So we are using the pointer to call the function calculate in a program. So that is what that selector operation means. So this dot here is normally called the dot operator or the dot select or the selector operator. Okay. Okay. Let us proceed to the next one. Okay, 2C. 2C says 2C says the question says study the following C++ program segment and answer the question that follows. Okay, hash include I input output stream using namespace standard class my class int a public void set a, this is a function, int I, then a is equals to I. Now interpret the program segment clearly, outlining the access specifiers they used. Now 3 marks. It only needs you to interpret the program. So how do you interpret the program? You interpret the program by saying that one, the program contains a class named my class. Inside the my class we have a data member named a of type integer, yeah, but this data member is private. When an access specifier has either public, protected, or private has not been specified before a data member, then that data member automatically becomes private to this class. And then we have a public member function. So public, then this function set a is a public member function for the class named my class. The task being performed by this function is to it has a parameter I of type integer, and it is assigning a to be equals to I. That is the task being performed by this it is the task being performed by this function. So that is how you're supposed to be interpreting it. Okay, let me do it for you here in PowerPoint. Okay, in PowerPoint. Okay, I will not rewrite the code. What I will do is this is 2C. I will not write the code because you can get the paper from EasyTvet website. You can get it from your school library, so you don't need to rewrite the code. So what have I done? Okay. So now how do you interpret the code? You will say that one, the program contains a class named my class. So a program contains a class named my class. Then my class has Roman 1 a data member named a, or I can put a in quotation, named a of type integer, yeah. Then you can say that this a, the data member a, is private to the class my class. Then there is a member function named set A. There is a member function set A of a return type void. So of return type void. If you don't know return type, return type means the data type of the value being returned by the function. So this function is returning nothing, so that is why they have used void set A. Yeah, you can maybe even proceed to explain that which has I as its parameter, its argument, then the function assigns A or assigns I to A. So I becomes I to A. That is what that function is. What the function is doing. Okay. Is there any other thing we have left out? Nothing. Maybe just to say that set that the function set A is public. What does that mean? Thus, it can be accessed by any other class in the same program. So in case this program happens to have multiple many classes, those classes will be able to access the function, but they are not able to access the function or the data member A, which is private to that class. I hope I've understood there. Okay, the next thing is question 3. There is some mathematics here. There is some mathematics here.